Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a family. Choose a fucking big television. Choose washing machines, cars, compact displays and electrical tin openers. Future. Choose life.
Here comes Johnny.
But why would I want to do a thing like that?
This scene is from the film Trainspotting. The film follows a group of heroin addicts, Sick Boy, Renton, Begbie, and Spud, living in Edinburgh and focuses on their struggles with addiction. The film also explores the group's rejection of consumerism and the traditional middle-class lifestyle, especially in the iconic Choose Life scene. Choose Life was an anti-drug campaign in 1985 Scotland.
Wait a minute, it's your life, choose life. Say drugs aren't in it, drugs aren't in it. Be all you can be, choose life, not drugs.
In the film's opening scene, the main character Renton uses the phrase in a way to critique normal life under capitalism, a life focused on working a 9-to-5 job, buying consumer goods, and following society's scripted rules. But Renton's critique isn't a deep philosophical stance. It's more of a way to justify his own life of addiction and petty crime. That said, it doesn't mean that this stance cannot be justified philosophically. In fact, this is exactly what I want to do in this video. At the heart of capitalism is consumerism. This is what keeps its wheels turning. And at the heart of consumerism is desire, a desire that cannot be satisfied. But why can't it be satisfied? For that, we need to talk about Jacques Lacan. Lacan was a French psychoanalyst. Some people describe him as one of the most important thinkers of the 20th century. They believe that his works changed the way how we see psychology and even philosophy. If you have heard of Slavoj Žižek, he describes himself as a Lacanian. So, Lacan differentiates between need and desire. For him, need comprises of the purely biological aspects like hunger, thirst, warmth, and so on. And on the other hand, Lacan defines desire with the formula desire equals demand minus need. I promise it's more interesting than it looks. So what does Lacan mean by demand? Well, as I said before, need is purely physiological. It all starts when we are born. He points out that when babies cry, needs become demands. Crying at that age is the only language the baby has to tell or command their mother to fulfill their needs. So say if a baby needs milk, they would cry. This is what Lacan means by demand. But when the baby does so, something else happens. It causes a split between need and demand. And from this split, desire arises. When the baby is in the womb, they are a part of the mother. The mother and baby are one. But when the baby is born, they struggle being separated from the mother. It's hard for them to be an individual. So when the baby cries and makes a demand for their needs, they also make a demand for the unconditional love of her mother, a love where the baby and mother become one. However, this is now impossible because the mother is now divided. She can't just stay with the baby forever. She has to take care of herself as well as someone separate. As an individual, according to Lacan, the baby can never truly get over being separated from their mother, and there always remains an insatiable leftover from need and demand. This is desire, a demand without need. This insatiable desire manifests itself as what Lacan calls the objet petit a. Objet petit a stands for the unattainable object of desire. The a stands for other. Other, of course, is autre in French. This is where the a comes from. The meaning of the terms itself is not important, as Lacan believes that the terms should remain untranslated, thus acquiring the status of an algebraic sign. But here's an example of what this feels like. Imagine a dark space where there's a strong light source. From the source, desire casts their light and shadow into the darkness, such as houses, cars, fame, status, etc. But the light source itself is always hidden in the depth of the darkness. It can never be seen. We can only catch the shadow, but cannot catch the source. The interesting thing with desire is, even if we had everything in the world, we would still not be satisfied. In fact, we may even desire lack, poverty, and struggle instead. Schopenhauer writes, "And yet, if every desire was satisfied as soon as it arose. How would men occupy their lives? How would they pass the time? Imagine this race transported to a utopia, where everything grows of its own accord, where lovers find one another without any delay, and keep one another without any difficulty. In such a place, some men would die of boredom, or hang themselves. Some would fight and kill one another, and thus they would create for themselves more suffering than nature inflicts on them as it is. And this is the problem with choosing life. Or to be more precise, with choosing a normal, consumerist lifestyle. Obviously, I don't condone a life of drugs and crime, and I'm not saying that one should not buy things. But to live a life that exists only to work and buy things, to satisfy our insatiable desires, is pointless. This usually happens without us even noticing, because the desire, the object petit a, never leaves. I believe if Renton was a philosopher, he would be onto something.